Good evening, folks. This is Deb. Yeah, this is a short take, but it might be a little bit longer than a short take. I'm not quite sure. So I've been out of the video picture for a while, but that doesn't mean I haven't been busy. I've been doing a lot of local activist stuff. Quite frankly, I needed a break from the video scene because a lot of other people were talking. But not everybody is covering things as completely as they need to be covered. So I'm back tonight and I will be making videos more frequently than I have, although I can't say that I'll be doing it every night because a certain amount of what is going on here in America needs unpacking, and certain topics need to be addressed more in depth than they are. But tonight is just an intro video back. So let's talk about where we are in America right now. We are doomed in America if we do not win the midterms. And when I say win the midterms, I mean not just the House. We need the House, we need the Senate. The only way right now to stop Donald Trump is to take the House and the Senate and make him a 2-year president. It's as simple as that. The power is here in the hands of the American people, just as it was in November of 2024. We warned everybody, many people warned everybody that all of this would come to fruition if we did not win that election. And everybody who warned everybody about this was absolutely right, including, by the way, Kamala Harris. So let me say this. Had the Democrats won in November of 24, absolutely none of this would be going on. None of it. Not 1 ounce of it. Okay? Not 1 ounce of it. Not 1 ounce of it. And the 190 million people who chose to not bother to vote, if you're out there bitching and moaning on social media, you got no business being there because you basically thumbed your nose at democracy. That's the first thing I want to say. But let's look at where we've gotten to since November. Is anybody even talking about Doge anymore? No, they're not. Because things have gotten so bad, so fast, that it's overwhelming. So what are we looking at here? This is some of the stuff I'm going to be talking about in more depth. We're looking at the fact that Doge was just a giant plot to steal all of our personal data. That's really what it was. We allowed a billionaire, under the direction of a fat old fascist, to steal all of our data. Okay? That's what that was all about. We have since then watched as Donald Trump stripped benefits away from the most needy people in this country. Okay? We have watched him strip away U.S. aid. Okay? And now with the Ebola situation going on, we see the effects of all of that being taken away. Okay? We watched the farmers in America, talk about being patriotic and voting for Donald Trump. They basically signed their own death warrant. At least their businesses have signed, have been decimated by Donald Trump's policies. The tariffs, okay? Let's start with the tariffs. The grift of the century, okay? He had everybody convinced that everybody else was going to pay the tariffs when in fact the American people pay the tariffs. That's been a fact of life for decades. Okay, I don't know how he got people to believe otherwise, but tariffs are always passed on to the consumer. All right, we should all know this by now. This is economics 101. None of this is rocket science. Okay, we have watched as he has turned the military onto the streets to attack American citizens, separating over 170,000 families taking people out of immigration meetings where they are going to become American citizens, deporting people to Seacot, a concentration camp outside of the United States, building another concentration camp that no one talks about anymore, Alligator Alcatraz, which is nothing more than a concentration camp on our shores. We have concentration camps everywhere in the United States. There are some in Texas, there are some in Louisiana. We have watched as the military has gunned down people in the streets of the United States. All right? We have watched, everybody on the left was pissed off at the Democrats and AIPAC, okay? And I get it. I get it. That's something that has to change. But you know something? Donald Trump has participated wholeheartedly in the genocide of Gaza. And I don't think any of that would have happened under the Democratic Party. Donald Trump and the GOP, they have literally handed the entire situation to Benjamin Netanyahu and supported him in his decimating the people of Gaza. Okay, and now they're after the people in Lebanon, the Israelis, okay? The Israeli government, all right? Benjamin Netanyahu. And we're just sitting here watching it all happen. We've watched as he has killed hundreds of people from Venezuela, alleging that they are drug boats with absolutely no evidence whatsoever that that's true. We are watching Donald Trump and his military expansion. First it was Venezuela. Now he's talking about Cuba. The Cuban people right now are suffering because of Donald Trump's policies. Donald Trump invading and bombing Iran, something no other president before him has done because those presidents understood what was going to happen. Everybody understands that Iran owns the Strait of Hormuz, and the first thing that would happen is that they would shut that down. How much are you paying for gas right now? I live in Massachusetts. The gas stations around my house range anywhere from $4.39 a gallon to $4.89 a gallon. For the Donald Trump MAGA truckers, what are you paying for diesel? Because around here, it's close to $6. And let's just say this. He has no problem bombing innocent people in Iran, killing children in a school. And we're supposed to be proud of that? What is wrong with you? If all of this isn't apparent to you, I don't know what it is going to take. What it is going to take. The man who promised to make living here cheaper for everybody. What's your food bill like? I'm a family of two. Under Joe Biden, I was paying about $150 for food. Right now, I can't get my bill under $200. When I buy meat or anything that swims or walks around in a pasture, I'm up close to $240. And I shop at the cheapest market in Massachusetts. What are your utility bills looking like? The man who was going to make everything cheaper here. Remember that? Remember those promises? You think you're better off under Trump? I'm going to tell you right now, Joe Biden is not responsible for that. Not responsible for any of this, no matter what Donald Trump tells you. This is not anything that Joe Biden has done. This is all on the fat boy. And in the meantime, his family has grifted almost $200 billion since he became president. A clear violation of the emoluments clause, but Who the hell is going to enforce that? Because the GOP is nothing but a pack of cowards, the ones who aren't fascists, of course. They're either fascists or they're cowards. Which is worse? Which is worse? Which is why I say to you, the GOP must be purged from the American government. That is the only way we get out of this. That is the only way we survive this. That is the only way we begin to reclaim what we have left in America. It is going to take a monumental effort to reverse the mess that this clown has made. But make no mistake about this. Donald Trump didn't steal the election. The American people gave this to him. Okay? They gave this to him. And the only landslide in November of 2024 was the did not vote. That was the landslide. Okay? More people did not vote than voted for either Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. That's pitiful. We have never been great at getting to the polls to vote. America has never been outstanding at that. And now we are seeing the effects of that. I'm just scratching the surface of everything here. I am just scratching the surface here. This is a man who has destroyed the White House. Okay? He's destroyed the White House. It looks like a piece of shit now. All right? This might not be important to you, but it's important because he is spending taxpayer dollars. Remember when the ballroom was going to be paid for by the billionaires? Well, guess who's paying for the ballroom now? Now he wants you and me to pay for it. Right? Have you seen the Rose Garden? Just another Donald Trump real estate venture. Paved over with concrete, and it's already cracking. Now he's screwing around on the National Mall. And all of this coming out of the taxpayer pockets. Is this why you're working? So you can pay for this clown's activity? And you know how we're going to celebrate, how we were going to celebrate our 250th anniversary as a nation? With a concert that nobody wants to go to now, that nobody wants to participate in. It makes you kind of wonder why, after everything I've already mentioned in this video, why anyone would ever agree to it. Oh, because I thought it was going to be a bipartisan thing. You've got to be shitting me. You have got to be shitting me. Do you really believe that Donald Trump would do anything bipartisan? You got to be as dumb as a stump to believe that. We are building, okay? And I can promise you we're paying for this too. An area on the South Lawn so we can have a WWE cage fight to celebrate our 250th anniversary as a nation. Can we go any lower than that? This is white trash celebration. That's what this amounts to. We have alienated every ally that we have. Every ally that we have. We are a laughingstock for the rest of the world. We should be embarrassed by all of this. And I'll tell you another thing. He has literally neutered the legacy media in America. They have caved in, bent over, and told Donald Trump to just continue to give them a cold water enema. We'll do whatever you want, all because of the almighty dollar, so they can get their mergers approved. They just trashed 60 Minutes, one of the best investigative news outlets on the planet for decades. They hired Barry Weiss, a joke, a clown, an unqualified idiot just like Donald Trump, to run a news organization. She wrote a newsletter before this. They took Stephen Colbert off the air, not because his ratings were down and he was losing money, but because he dared to mock Donald Trump. Guess what? In America, you get to do that. In fact, comedians have always held court against rogue politicians. But not here in Donald Trump's America. He doesn't give a shit about free speech unless it's his free speech. And the Epstein files. If you don't believe he's up to his eyeballs in that shit yet, then you're stupid. Those women deserve justice. Those files should be released. Donald Trump should be investigated. And yet the Republican Party is covering for him. The news media is covering for him. Nobody's asking any questions. His health is failing. He's got dementia. He can barely keep his eyes open during cabinet meetings. There are pictures of him sleeping while everyone around him is talking. And yet we couldn't take our eyes off Joe Biden. The news media couldn't stop with Joe Biden. They couldn't stop with Joe Biden. His debate performance is not even an issue at this point, given what this guy is doing. He can't figure out half the words that are coming out of his mouth. He loses his train of thought. He falls asleep in meetings. He loses where he's going on stage in public events. And we're supposed to believe that he's passing all of these tests that he's going to at Walter Reed. Now, the first thing I am going to do for a video is I am going to talk about where you can go to get news that's actually accurate. There are places to go, but it's not the legacy media anymore. It's not the legacy media. You can forget it. They're dead. They're dead in the water. And before I end up this video, let me just say one other thing. Two groups have been preyed upon in this country more than any other. Actually, three groups. Women, the LGBTQ community, and in particular the transgender community, and immigrants. Let me give you a clue. Donald Trump wants to create a white, straight America. And by the way, a predominantly male, white, straight America. They have talked about taking the vote away from women. The only way we stop all of this is to band together and win the House and the Senate. If we do not win the House and the Senate in 2026, well, let's not even talk about the 2028 presidential election. Let's not. Because if we do not win the midterms, and I mean by big numbers, there may not be a 2028 election. Now, I'm warning you now about this. I was warning you about this in November of 2024. I'm warning you again right now. And you'd better be listening. We will be covering many of these topics in depth over the next several months. And yes, we will talk about having to change the Democratic Party, but the number one priority in this country right now, without question, is to make sure that Democrats win up and down the ballot. Because the first problem is the root problem we have here, and that is the GOP. They have got to go. Then we can work on making the Democratic Party the way we want it to be. And that's going to take activism. Nobody sits on their asses anymore here in America. Nobody. I will talk to you all later.